different aspects, what it is that you have achieved, what it is that you have created, what it is that you set for yourself as as a definition for actually getting there, or realizing that, listen, I have time 3 years from now if I keep doing this thing. Hi, my name is Rita and welcome back to Conversations with Ree, episode 3. This month we are doing a follow-up from last month's discussion where we began talking about the long game mindset. And if you didn't catch that, I'll make sure to leave a link, if you're watching this on YouTube, that is, and you can catch up on what it is we began as our intro and just general thoughts around that. So as we begin today's discussion, I just wanted to point out that as we are talking about the long game mindset and getting into this mind shift, we are not talking about encouraging procrastination or not working towards something, not progressing in our life journey. What we are talking about is, as we look at our life story and our life timeline, or the timeline in our life, we are trying to check that we have or are in the right balance and are having a healthy relationship with time and our life story, so that it is not that we are panicking through life and like there's a bomb about to go off and it's ticking, and ultimately fear is driving our actions, fear is motivating our movements and our next progressions, or even how we look at ourselves. So we are basically trying to check that the balance is right. We are on a healthy building journey with our life story versus our fear-based, and probably beginning to ask ourselves, why are we in this fear state versus a healthy story with our life? And I think there are lots of reasons why we could be there. Society's standards, how it is we have been taught to look at life or look at ourselves. It's lots of mindsets upon mindsets, and I think that's why we are calling this a mindset reality. So in addition to everything we said the last time, I think briefly looking at this point, I think when we begin to look at the idea of the compound effect and realizing that everything that is right now has been as a result of continuous bit by bit actions, whether we find ourselves in a negative state or find ourselves in a positive state, it has been the result of, it's a compound effect. There has been compounding towards this, and if we would call it negative, I think that is usually as a result of not necessarily being present and being intentional about things. So things, whether we know that this is happening or not, everything is compounding. So if wherever things get into are as a result of either our intentionality or our lack of intentionality. I think that's the way I'd put it. And so what we are trying to say is, are we looking at life from that aspect in our mind? Are we realizing that at some point I will be 5 years from where I am today? At some point I will be 3 years from where I am today. At some point I will be a year from where I am today. And keeping that balance in check, realizing that that the little things that I am doing right now are all going to add up into something, versus forgetting or not looking at it that way and either wanting everything immediately or not realizing that not doing anything towards anything will result into something that you may or may not be proud of, or may not be excited about. So we might have to come back to the compound effect as a topic on its own, but where I'm trying to take us today is the realization that it is always in effect. And I think I mentioned last time, and we've probably all had this many times, that yes, the best time to have begun working towards something was yesterday, or was 10 years ago, or depending on your story, it was 2 years ago when the idea first popped up. Because with all this, we are talking about different things. We're talking about health habits, we're talking about your career story, we're talking about your business or business ideas, your passion projects, your savings, your investments, new habits you wanted to build, or just all the different aspects in family for you. So if you find yourself in a point where you may have wasted the last 10 years or 2 years, and so now you are suddenly panicking and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm running out of time, what do I do? How about you also re-engineer your mind to realize that yes, I may have missed 10 years, but I have another 10 coming, or I have another 5, or I have another 2. Beginning to realize that the compound effect is in play, whether positively or negatively. It may have worked negatively to where up to the point where you are, but you have the chance to put it in play positively for what's going on next. One of the comments I got, more like a discussion, someone wrote to me in response to the last video, and she said, I'm paraphrasing, it is this 40 under 40 and 30 under 30 lists that put us under pressure and have us thinking we're running out of time. And I sat on that, and what I was thinking was, I think they have their place. Like I said in the beginning, we're not disqualifying working towards things and celebrating achievements and things like that. So I think they have their place, but you need to check within yourself that they have not become the standard. That we need to know in our heads that they are not the be all and end all. They have their place, and however, what is the standard is my next point. I dare say that nothing really is the standard. The standard has to be the standard for success, or what you would call a successful accomplishment. Really needs to be an inside job for each one of us. I'll throw in an example of someone I know who was way up in his career, and is part of the whole C-suite and is doing great things with his life. But success in a day for him would be getting home in time to do homework with his kids. And that's something he set for himself. granted, he may not get to do that every single day of the week, or there may be weeks where work is a bit more demanding than others, but he has set up his life in a way that he will do all he can till 5, get home to do homework with his kids, and then carry on with work later in the evening. So for him, success is getting home, getting to spend time with his kids and catch up on their day and talk about things that are going on in their lives and do homework with them. So what I'm trying to say is, a lot of times we have put ourselves in following these other accolades as the standard, puts us in a state where we are chasing, and ultimately what we are chasing is a mirage, because you get there and realize, wow, there's still so much more, and there's more that I have to achieve. And if I'm not mistaken, it is in a state of trying to prove something externally versus working from this internally. So if we don't check with ourselves that we are chasing versus building, and in this sense I'd say building life, if what we are working towards comes from a place where I'm building, I'm creating, I am building life, versus chasing marks that I have been told are success points and are how to have made it, then we enter that panic mode. Then we enter that whole, I am running out of time, I don't have enough time, I have to have been this by 30, I have to have been this by 40. And I'm reminded of something I must have seen years ago, where someone proposed this question where they were like, how come we don't see 50 under 50 lists, or 60 under 60, or 70 under 70? How come success is being pegged to 30 and 40? And so bringing it back to what I'm saying today is, these lists may not go anywhere. The standard and society might say that 30 and 40 stay, but you have to check within yourself that I'm building, and I'm doing this from a within me versus proving to the outside. And so I it's not a time bound, I have to have had this by 30, I have to have had this by 40. And you know what's so interesting is, in many different ways, we have different things at different times. You may have gotten certain things at 30 or at 20 or at 40, and you have other things it all changes, and at 50 or 60 you have other things. So if you're not realizing that along the way you are actually building, and you have hit success in the way you define it for yourself, then you probably will panic and try to achieve all these things and get them or not get them, but you're never at an achieved state. Or you might miss out on truly seeing what's happening in your life story. And I think that would bring me to my final point, which is, are we comparing? Do we ever stop to realize we are comparing our life and someone else's life story? And I think I've had this a couple of times where, you might be looking at your chapter 1, chapter 2, and are stressing over someone's chapter 54 or 30. They've gone through a couple of seasons to bring them there, or they've fast-tracked for different reasons, or their setup was different, and what they had as their bedrock was different. Doesn't take away from your story being beautiful and unique in itself. So I'm reminded of something I had maybe 3-4 years ago, and it really stuck with me because it was something I was telling myself, and I felt like it was articulated very well for me, which is that comparison robs us of what we bring to the table. It robs us of our unique tale and our unique story. So to wrap this all up, I feel like we could keep going forever. It's such a complex conversation. Where I'm going with this is there has to be an introspection aspect where you say to yourself things, where you ask yourself certain things, where you begin to check within yourself about how it is success is being defined, how it is you are looking at your life timeline. And if I may be bold enough to say, why I would call chasing a mirage is because we know and we see and we've experienced, even in our own stories, things that you have chased or gone after and you lose within a short time, or you could lose or never even get to enjoy. So if it is that you're chasing constantly, then you're never getting. But if it is that you're building and always appreciating at different aspects what it is that you have achieved, what it is that you have created, what it is that you set for yourself as a definition for actually getting there, or realizing that, listen, I have time. 3 years from now, if I keep doing this thing, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, if I keep doing this thing and tweaking it and evolving and changing, and I have also set the standard for myself, and I am keeping in this long game mindset, then I think the healthy balance with time, with our life story, will be achieved, and we will not be panicking through life, but rather we are, like I love to say, creating from love, not from fear. I hope you found this helpful. It went on a bit longer than I hoped, so I hope there's something in there for you. Till next time, see you next month on our next Conversations with Ree. Bye.